Falcon fans, Falcon Nation, welcome to Dirty Fanatics United. I am your host, Steve Money, and my camera is froze. You are listening to Dirty Fanatics United. I am your host, followed by my co-host, my guy, Cody Keeler, my other co-host, Robert Red Gun. What's going on, Falcon fans? Hit that like button, leave a comment. We're going to see if we can't get this camera thing figured out. But while we do that, Cody, what's going on, man? It's been a little while since we talked Falcon football. We have a lot of topics to talk about tonight. Even though it is the off season, we have some Falcon football to talk about. Cody, what's going on, brother?
Oh, man, just getting through another work week. Got one more day to go, unfortunately, but here we are ready to talk Falcon football. It's my favorite thing to do on the planet is talk Dirty Bird football with you boys.
Absolutely no better day than a Friday, ending the work week and starting the Dirty Bird talk. Robert, what's going on, brother? Glad to have you here tonight on the podcast. Our other two co-hosts, Rick and Philip, both with a bug right now, so keep those guys in your prayers. Also, keep my guy Robert in your prayers. Robert, what's going on, man? Time to talk Falcon football. What's going on, dog?
Just another work week in the books. It's my Saturday to work tomorrow, unfortunately, but hey, making that money. And of course, Sunday, we got the Taylor Swift, Super Bowl 59 coming up. I don't know about you guys. They're asking who am I pulling for, the Chiefs or the Eagles? I'm like, well, I would pull for the Eagles. They got a lot of old Bulldogs on there, but I can't cheer for a team whose fan base boos Santa Claus.
Shit.
And I can't cheer for the new media darlings. So I guess I'm pulling for the asteroid to hit the Earth. So
Falcon fans, hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe if you want to be entered for the chance to win a pair of Apple AirPod Pros, courtesy of your co-host from DFU, Cody Keeler, man, the only podcast to do so, man. Y'all hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you know when Dirty Fanatics United goes live, because in the offseason, there will be pop-up shows. There will be content videos come out on Monday. There will be shorts, memes, whatever it may be. DFU will be bringing you Falcon content. So be sure to ring that bell so you know when DFU is live and talking Falcon football. Cody, Robert, we have some interesting topics, and real quick before we do that, let's talk about the show's title for tonight. We are at episode 132. Round of applause for that. We're almost at 150 here on the podcast. We are at episode 132. Hashtag Rise Up, trade rumors, and babbling veteran quarterbacks. Falcon fans, hit that like button. Before we dive into our topics, we'll give you a rundown of what we'll be chatting about today. Falcon fans, we'll talk about Kirk Cousins and his mouth. We'll talk about our guy, Zach Robinson and his offense efficiency this last past season. We'll talk about Drew Dahlman. We'll talk about trade rumors, etc. Falcon fans, tap in. We got a good podcast coming at you live tonight. Cody, starting it off from the top, our first talk of today will be our guy, Kirk Cousins, announcing that he just may have been injured since the Saints game leading to that 4-game losing streak in Atlanta that kept you from that playoff berth because of a veteran quarterback afraid to admit that he was hurt, possibly afraid that Michael Penix takes his job. Cody, your thoughts on the situation with Kirk Cousins saying, officially coming out, announcing that he was hurt. We talked about it on the podcast, Cody, Robert. We talked about it. We said Kirk Cousins was not the same Kirk Cousins we signed and got us to, 6-3 on the season. Mm-hmm. This was not the same Kirk Cousins that we had been seeing all year. This is not the same Kirk Cousins that threw for 500 yards against Tampa Bay. Cody, Kirk Cousins admitting that he was injured now possibly opens up even a better – the Falcons can look at it in two ways here. This is how the Falcons can look at this situation. Kirk Cousins has now gave you the opportunity to waive this no-trade clause because he wants to play somewhere in the NFL. He's announcing he's hurt. To me, that tells me Kirk Cousins wants to play in the NFL. He doesn't want to be a backup. So you initially will lose money that way in a trade, but you gain value off of a guy that you're losing, but you still will have to pay in years to come to Kirk Cousins. Or Kirk Cousins wanted to be in Atlanta, did not want to be exposed by the rookie, and knew that if Michael Penix took the stage, his job was officially over in Atlanta. Cody, your thoughts on the Kirk Cousins debacle here in Atlanta? Take the stage, baby. Hey, and I'm going to put you on a solo layout because we are officially making a new intro for DFU, and I got to have a solo layout so the quality looks good. So, Cody, the mic is yours, brother.
Yeah, man. It is something that, that I had brought up multiple times on this podcast that Kirk just didn't look right. starting about that Saints game, it just everything felt off. And beforehand, I was kind of like, well, this has got to be your coaches running you out there hurt. But then after you go and open your mouth, man, I liked Kurt a lot. I really did. I still kind of do, but my thing is doesn't this kind of feel like an act of treason almost against the Atlanta Falcons? You knew you were hurt, and I think for Kirk, we guarantee you $100 million to tell you got a contract for $180 million. I think, we all kind of knew that Kirk was going to be on a clock anyways. I don't think any of us expected him to play all 4 years. I don't think any Falcon fans did either. And I think that was kind of Kirk's problem, was that he felt like, hey, if I say something about my elbow and my shoulder, that it would accelerate the clock for him to lose his job to Michael Penix. But here's the problem is, and this is the part that bothers me the most, is that Kirk Cousins put his interest ahead of the Atlanta Falcons. Kirk Cousins is supposed to be your leader. He's supposed to do the things that are best for the Atlanta Falcons. So, I mean, do you really think if Kirk had sat down for 2 games, that Penix takes his job at that point? Because I don't. I think after
that's kind of where I was at with it, Cody, because I even talked with some Falcon fans online on Facebook, and I said, at this point, Kirk Cousins in the beginning of the season, Kirk Cousins was playing lights out football in Atlanta. Right. Let's be for real, Falcon fans. There wasn't a single Falcon fan that was arguing with the display of what Kirk Cousins was bringing to Atlanta. Week 1, maybe every Falcon fan was expecting better week 1, but after week 1, when you played the Kansas City Chiefs and you had that very close loss at the end of that game, and then you played the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly, the game where it really started to click for the Atlanta Falcons. Kirk Cousins could have sat 2 to 3 weeks and still came back in, because you have a Jordan Love situation, just like the Packers did when he went down, when their quarterback went down. Jordan Love came in, played 3 to 4 games, took a seat right back on the bench because he was grooming as you do a rookie quarterback. Now Michael Penix in the situation, looking very nice towards the end of the season, but he is now officially your starting quarterback.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what Kirk was thinking, was that he would lose his job. But again, to your point, Chase, Kirk was playing too good to sit 2 games and lose his job. No matter, I mean, again, it would have taken an MVP performance, those 2-3 weeks, whatever Kirk would have had to set for Penix to absolutely take his job. But again, I think Kirk's pride came before the Atlanta Falcons' interest. And he continued to not say anything. However, as much as you blame this on Kirk, this is also on Coach Raheem Morris. Coach, there's no way that Coach Raheem could not have seen how badly he was playing and go, yeah, you're okay. Because the 4 of us at the time, and I'm sure, we were all going, there's something wrong. You're hurt. Something's up. What was the game? I think it was a Charger game where Kirk Cousins was the only one who couldn't zip the ball past 25 miles an hour.
Yep.
And so it's irritating knowing where this team could be right now. I'm not saying that we were going to be in the Super Bowl this year, but would we have been in a deep playoff run? Absolutely. We would have absolutely been in some kind of playoff run, because I mean, think about it. Who you had in the playoffs on the NFC side? You had Tampa Bay, which we had swept. We beat the Philadelphia Eagles, who are in the Super Bowl right now. You probably should have beat the Chiefs without that missed pass interference. We beat the Chiefs. You had who else? And Detroit was the only team that really we don't know how we would have stacked up against, but Washington. Should have beat Washington, but again,
well, really, with the display that Detroit played in the playoffs, man. And what's so crazy is I had that feeling about that team. I had that feeling that they were just hot all season. When they hit the playoffs, it was going to simmer down. And I'll be damned if that's not what happened first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, really, the only team that absolutely took us to the woodshed was the Vikings. But you're telling me that happens again twice,
and then even at halftime with the Vikings, Cody, you're still in that game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, for me, it's one of those things that I really hope there's some wording or something in the contract that, for Kirk to sit there and lie about his injury is something in the contract to where we can either get money back or, it very well may be Kirk, coming out and saying that so he does get traded, but at this point, man, it feels like I almost feel like I got stabbed in the back a little bit by Kirk Cousins here, because I was ready to rally around and be supportive, for however long he was here. I was never going to call for his job, no matter how poorly he played. But when you come out and you basically say, hey, I put my interest in my career in front of what the Falcons, ultimate goal is, I'm not okay with that. And, as much as I would have liked to have seen Kirk stay and back up or whatever, at this point, I just need him out of Atlanta.
Right. Yeah, it's a tough situation when it comes to Kirk Cousins because with the fact that, like you just said, you lied all season. You lied about, who you were as a healthy player. You lied about feeling healthy. You lied about the fact that you were feeling probably at the best that you felt since the Achilles. I don't know what's going on with this camera chat. Falcon fans, ignore the camera, man. But Robert, take it away, man. Your thoughts on this Kirk Cousins situation. You lose possibly letting this guy ride as a backup now that he admits that he was hurt last season. Teams are going to call now and ask for this guy if he's healthy. He now has had a full, 5 games and an offseason, 4 games and an offseason to get healthy. So, yes, Kirk Cousins still has a lot of football left in the gas tank. Robert, your thoughts on the situation of Kirk Cousins announcing that he was hurt all season after the Saints game?
Cody hit the nail on the head. He was playing too well to worry about losing his job if he sits for a couple of weeks. And one thing I've noticed, throughout the history of the Falcons, when we have a veteran quarterback that is supposed to be grooming an up-and-comer, stuff like this happen. I mean, Chris Chandler did the same thing when we drafted Michael Vick.
Right.
He would sit there, he'd pout and, get his underwear in a wad or whatever you want to call it. But, Kirk should be enough of a professional to know that he is getting up in years.
Right.
He's not going to play forever. And the team, if they're going to want to succeed, they're going to have to groom for the future. Kirk should have, and like Cody said, he put his own interests ahead of the team's success. I have a problem with that as well. Absolutely.
Not taking the veteran leadership that you bring to a team. That's what really stands out to me is, he is that veteran that you want in the room, and he's not setting the example that you should set here in Atlanta for a young guy like Michael Penix. If anything, Penix, looks up to this cat and to have that kind of leadership in the building. I'm not saying Kirk Cousins isn't a good guy because I've heard nothing but praise from, guys like Michael Penix, receivers that work, like Drake London, these guys that work with these, with Kirk Cousins and stuff like that. I mean, there is a relationship there with these people. And I think, you've seen one of the best years out of Drake London this year with Kirk Cousins. And then you've seen it even more so, I would think, with Michael Penix when he took the reins. Drake London is a guy that, to me, is receiver one in Atlanta. A lot of Falcon fans draft night did not like that pick. A lot of Falcon fans were wanting a different high, big-name receiver like Chris Olave. All these NFL scouts said that it was a reach for Drake London. But now you see what Drake London brings to the table. So when you lose a guy like Kirk Cousins, Penix has these receivers like Drake London, Darnell Mooney, a possible Cooper Kupp sighting in Atlanta. A lot of rumors percolating right now of what could happen this offseason. Even if the Falcons were to draft another receiver, it's very, very crazy what could happen here this offseason. And we're going to talk about every possible scenario, not giving you guys any hopes for drafting a receiver. But what we're saying is you never know what the draft strategy is. In the past few years, Robert, you've said it the past few podcasts, it's been best player available. And if Terry goes best player available, there's no telling who that may be on that draft board. Tonight, we're also going to look at some more updated mock drafts. We did it last podcast. We'll do it again tonight, see what the trend is right now to kind of give Falcon fans an update on what the boards are looking like right now. But before we do that, Cody, let's talk about some trade rumors. A big trade rumor hit the board probably a week and a half ago, and it's still rotating around. And the Falcons seem to be a heavy tenor in this particular trade rumor that's going around. And it's a very, very big, very huge move if the Atlanta Falcons can land this guy. Per source, the Myles Garrett has a potential trading partner with the Atlanta Falcons, the Detroit Lions, and the Washington Commanders, per PFF on Twitter. Falcon fans, this is huge if you land a Myles Garrett. Now, with that being said, as soon as the rumors were released that Myles Garrett requested a trade, the Cleveland Browns stated that it would take a first round for Myles Garrett. Initially, they said no contract, no trades would be even negotiated. And then they announced that it would be a first round, no less than a first round for Myles Garrett. So here's a potential trade possibility. The Browns receive our 2025 first round pick, our 2025 fourth round pick, our 2026 third round pick, and our tight end, Kyle Pitts, for defensive end, Myles Garrett. Before we get into that particular trade scenario, Cody, Myles Garrett to Atlanta, what does it take? And not only what does it take, but what would it mean to land a guy like Myles Garrett, losing your number one pick? If we know it's going to take a one, they've done said it, it's going to take a one. Unless Myles Garrett says, hey, I'm not playing this season if you keep me, and they lower the price because no team's giving a one. That's the only way you're getting under a one. Cody, a one, and what else are you comfortable with? And not only that, but let's talk about Myles Garrett, the type of player he is, the stat-wise. I mean, the guy had 13 sacks last season.
Right.
That's double any player on the Falcons roster.
Right.
Okay? So please remember that. But Cody, take the stage, brother.
Yeah, man. If that's what it takes is a first round and a fourth round and Kyle Pitts, sign me up. Like I'm not one of these people that are like, give me all the draft picks you can possibly have. I'd rather have proven NFL talent than a lottery ticket on somebody. Now, like I say, some of these kids, may be good. Like we talked about Mike Green from Marshall. As much as I'd like to see him here, if you're telling me I give up the draft pick if that's where he falls, because again, you got to think, Mike Green or some of these elite edge rushers may not be there at 15. Right. So if you're telling me I give up a 15, I know for sure I get a very good defensive edge rusher, a proven edge rusher, somebody that's got more than half of any other player on our team sack wise. I'm doing it. I don't care if it costs me a first and a third, in a year. Honestly, if it makes it sweeter for Cleveland, take Kirk Cousins too. I'm okay with that. If you need a Kirk Cousins too, and we've got to pay, half of his salary, I'm okay with that because you're getting proven NFL talent, and I will take proven NFL talent over draft picks any day. Any day. So, I mean, it would just be huge for this defense to have a Myles Garrett on it. You've got, unfortunately, you got an aging Grady Jarrett, who I still very much believe in. You've got a David Onyemata. So can you imagine if that's your lineup? Because we're going back to the 4-3. So can you imagine you've got Myles Garrett, you've got Grady Jarrett, David Onyemata, you've got Rook, you've got, Caden Ellis, who can come off the edge at the linebacker position. I mean, at that point, we become a very real problem, especially if we can get the defense rolling like Coach Raw and I can't ever pronounce his last name. Our new defensive coordinator, Ulbrich, yes. If they can get the ball rolling, man, I would say give up the first rounder. Who cares? Because again, I'd rather have the proven talent than a lottery than a lottery. Because who knows? How many times do we see these guys, come in the draft and they're like, this guy's the next. This guy's the next. Like Javion Clowney, yeah, he was good for a while, but like he's going to be, the next this, and that, and then he's good for 2 years and then he falls off. So, I mean, again, if you have to give up Kyle Pitts, Kirk, a first, a third, and a fourth, down the line, go for it.
Robert, it is your time to shine, brother. This will be your official layout for the new coming intro. Robert, your thoughts on the Myles Garrett situation here in Atlanta, the trade rumors. Obviously, it has to be a first rounder no less than a first right now as it stands. Robert, how do you feel about that trade proposal I had on the screen? You lose a lot of draft compensation, not only for this year, but years to come here in Atlanta, if you were to take this trade scenario here. And if it didn't, let's say it didn't work out for you, Falcon fans are on Terry heavy because that is a deep. You're already down to 4 picks this year. You lose a first and a fourth of this round of this draft. You have 2 picks. That's probably the least picks in NFL history. That's crazy. Robert, your thoughts on this scenario? How do you get Myles Garrett here in Atlanta? Talk to me.
Well, if we were drafting in the top 10, I would say the price would be too heavy. But we're drafting middle of the pack. And, everybody wants us to draft defense this year, which I do agree with. If we do stay with the draft pick, I think it should be used for defensive players. But like Cody said, our best options may not be available. And when you look at our previous drafts, when we take a defensive player in the first round, look no farther than Vic Beasley or Tack McKinley or the Jamal Anderson out of Arkansas. What did that get us? We need a proven NFL commodity, just like Cody said. I would, if that's the asking price, if you want to throw in Kirk Cousins and maybe take one of the draft picks back, if Cleveland will go for it, pull the trigger on the trade, man, because we need to fix this defense.
Absolutely.
In a big hurry.
This defense is a big issue right now. I agree 100%. The defense is what you have to go for. And Myles Garrett, what a freaking player, dude. What a guy. I mean, I got to get my solo layout. Here we go. But Myles Garrett, you talk about a guy like Myles Garrett, 13 sacks on a season at the age of what I believe. How old is Myles Garrett right now? Hey, Siri, how old is Myles Garrett? I think Myles Garrett is probably like 26 years old right now, 20, 28, 29, somewhere around there. Siri's still listening to me talk. Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. Myles Garrett, man, what a dominant force that brings to your team. Not only does Myles Garrett make an impact on the Falcons defense, but he also makes an impact for Grady Jarrett, Rook Ohurohu. These guys you have, these upcoming players, these young linebackers that you have, like the guy we just drafted from Notre Dame, I forget his name, it slips my mind. Phillip was here, he'd be able to tell it right off the bat. The white linebacker we have, guys, what's his name? I can't.
Troy Anderson. Not Troy Anderson.
The newest white linebacker.
Oh, man. Well,
my mind has drawn a fucking blank. Chat, I'm completely sorry. Anyway, but the guy Myles Garrett is going to bring talent not only through himself, but through J.D. Bertrand. How the fuck?
Bertrand, there you go. Anyway, Garrett's 29, by the way.
29 there for Myles Garrett. So you have 5 to 6 more years out of Myles Garrett.
Mm-hmm.
A first-round draft pick you lose. Kyle Pitts for sure. You're definitely probably going to lose Kyle Pitts. You're probably going to lose Kirk Cousins as well in that trade. And you're initially going to have to pay Kirk Cousins as well with that trade. So you have to look at it both ways. You have to look at how this is going to leave you, because the Falcons next year, if everything falls in the way that this reporter announced, the Falcons are set at like $110 million cap space next offseason. So if the Falcons can some way reconstruct themselves back to 60 mil, 70 mil, somehow get back to that point, the Falcons can make some stuff shake, not only in free agency, but trading as well.
Mm-hmm.
Your first biggest free agency, like we talked about before the podcast, Cody, Drew Dolman.
Right.
And the reason why Drew Dolman, that brings a whole nother subject to the podcast, is this particular stat here. The Atlanta Falcons, from this grade here, from PFF grade, has the best run blocking grade pending the Super Bowl. Since the start of week 1, your Atlanta Falcons have had the best run blocking game in the NFL. Falcon fans, that is huge, and that starts with the man at the center position, Drew Dolman. Cody, Drew Dolman in Atlanta, if the price gets too high, what do you do? And if the price is just right, obviously Drew Dolman is your first free agency pickup.
Right.
But if Drew Dolman and these other teams drive the price a little high and Drew Dolman's chasing that check this offseason, what do you do?
You've got to be the one that pays him at that point. Again, I am biased because, I played center for 10 years, and I think that's the most important offensive line spot because, the play starts with you up front. You're the one snapping the ball. You're you're literally protected your quarterback from being blasted right up the middle, man.
Yep.
So if teams drive up the price, you've got to find a way to pay them. You've got to restructure. And honestly, that may not be a bad thing if we do make the trade for Myles Garrett. You don't have to pay as many draft players, so you can restructure and maybe possibly pay Dolman and get, Garrett in here. But you have to bring back your center, especially as run heavy as this team is with Bijan and Tyler. And again, something we were talking about is like, you're telling me with that grade that you can't get Bijan and Tyler going, because how important is running the football this time of the year? Super Bowl playoffs. That's where your bread and butter goes, man. Is your offensive line and your run game, and that will take you a lot further. I mean, look at what Washington had to try to stop. Philadelphia was number 5 on that list, I think, as far as the grade goes. And the Washington Commanders couldn't stop, Philadelphia was number 4 on the list. And, look at what Saquon has done for, Philadelphia and their run to the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Is because, that's where it starts, boys. I was saying that's where the Commanders lost because they could not stop Saquon, and that starts up front with your offensive line. So if the Falcons plan on having any kind of success and having a run game, deep into, December, into January, and want to be in the big game again in February, you have got to make sure that your offensive line. Look at our 2016 season. That group had taken, I think, was with the addition of Khalil Mack. I don't think he is there as long as everybody else. But with the addition of Khalil Mack, those guys had taken more snaps all together than any team in the NFL in like 5 years, I think it was. And that's important because, again, that's where everything starts is up front, is with your linemen, your offensive line, and protecting your quarterback. So if teams drive up the price, you've got to find a way to pay your center, and you've got to bring him back to Atlanta.
Absolutely. Robert, your thoughts on Drew Dahlman, your biggest free agency need, obviously hitting the board. Rumors are that there have been reports of teams very, very wanting of Drew Dahlman, teams as in the Cincinnati Bengals, even reports that the Chiefs may be looking for a center. So the facts that Drew Dahlman is a very valued player. So if the price is to go too high, Robert, what is your action? What do you make happen? How do you get Drew Dahlman in Atlanta?
I agree. You gotta do what it takes to keep him here because, like Cody said, offensive line continuity and that bonding, it's very important. If we were to draft a center and, if we give up all this draft capital, to the Browns for Myles Garrett, we may be getting a new center later in the draft, and those guys are going to take time to develop.
Mm-hmm.
And, like you said a little bit ago, Cody, our 2016 team, that was the only offensive line in the NFL that year that started all 16 games together.
Yep.
So, just that chemistry, that continuity is very important. I think we got to just make the move, and it may cost a lot of money, but Perry's a bright GM. He'll figure out how to make it work. I hope.
Yeah, he's got to.
Yeah, but
Absolutely. Not only speaking on the Myles Garrett situation.
Yeah.
But you also have more rumors out there in Cooper Kupp as well. And you talk about an offense that just had one of the best fourth down efficiencies in the NFL. Zach attack offense was aggressive on fourth downs, actually leading to 6 touchdowns, tied with the Detroit Lions. The Atlanta Falcons have a offense, Falcon fans. Could you imagine a Drake London, a Cooper Kupp, a Darnell Mooney? You don't have a Kyle Pitts no more if you make this trade. Wherever you make a trade, Kyle Pitts is in that bundle, I think, initially. Mm-hmm. Whoever you trade, if you get Myles Garrett, if you get Cooper Kupp, either one will be Kyle Pitts included.
Yep.
And that's just how it is. Keith Simmons in the chat with us said, family. Keith, what's going on, brother? Glad for you tapping in tonight. Hit that like button, brother. Glad to have you here in the chat. Chat, tap in, man. Let me know where you're watching tonight. Hit that like button and subscribe if you're new to YouTube because you will be entered for a chance to win a pair of Apple AirPod Pros, man. Be sure to do that. Subscribe for the free and be entered for a chance to win The giveaway is after the Super Bowl. So the next podcast after the Super Bowl will be the giveaway. We have like 10 people right now, chat. So let's get some more people in here, subscribe, so we can get you in the raffle for the chance to win some Apple AirPod Pros. If you're already subscribed, bring a new subscriber and let me know that they have subscribed, and you and that subscriber will both be entered for the chance to win. April Thomas in the chat with us said, "What's up, everyone? April, what's going on? I'm glad to have you in the chat. The camera is acting stupid once again. I'm sorry about that, chat. But Cody, Robert, the Cooper Kupp situation, is it a possibility in Atlanta that you get another dominant receiver with Drake London and Moore?
I think it's possible, but it's not one that I'm like dying for. I think between Drake and Drake and Darnell Mooney, and you haven't even seen what you got in Rondale Moore yet. Honestly, like, what am I going to be upset if we go out and go get a Cooper Kupp? No, absolutely not. But like, if you're telling me you have to pick between Cooper Kupp or Myles Garrett, because Kyle Pitts is like, you can only trade Kyle Pitts once. If that's what you're telling me is like, hey, we could either trade all this and get a Cooper Kupp or trade all this and get a Myles Garrett. I want a Myles Garrett over a Cooper Kupp. But I mean, yeah, this offense would be, I don't even know what you do at that point. If you've got Drake, Mooney, Moore, Bijan lined up wide, you've got, pick your poison at that point. Again, you kind of get in that 2016 territory of good luck, who you double covering, Julio, Freeman out wide, Sanu. So, but obviously I would definitely rather have a Myles Garrett here than Cooper Kupp. But Cooper Kupp would just make this offense even more lethal.
Cooper Kupp, Myles Garrett, definitely Myles Garrett for sure.
Yeah,
Robert,
definitely.
Your thoughts? Cooper Kupp to Atlanta, is it a possibility? And if so, what would it take to land a Cooper Kupp in Atlanta?
Well, I think, the Rams would want Kyle Pitts in return. I was just thinking, maybe, if we do send Kyle to the Browns and that hefty price tag for Myles Garrett, what could we do to get both players here?
Mm-hmm.
But now we're talking about possibly losing to Tyler Algier, which to me, it's not worth it. And as far as if we got to choose between one of the two, I agree. Myles Garrett, for two reasons. Number one, the defense is the bigger concern right now.
Mm-hmm.
We need an elite pass rusher. And number two, Myles Garrett is still chasing a Super Bowl ring. Cooper Kupp has got a Super Bowl ring. He was the MVP of Super Bowl 56. He would make the offense more lethal. I'd get excited just thinking about it. But if I got to choose between the two, I'm going with Myles Garrett. Plain and simple.
Speaking on mock draft, I said we would bring the mock draft up. I'll just give you guys a read down of what these 5 analysts that I have found here. It says for pick number 15, if the Falcons stay at 15, this was updated 8 hours ago. ESPN has the Falcons selecting Mykel Williams, which is a W. Pro Football Network has the Atlanta Falcons selecting Mykel Williams. CBS Sports has the Atlanta Falcons drafting James Pierce Jr., another W. The Sporting News has the Falcons selecting Nick Skirton, edge from Texas A&M. Don't know much about him, have to look him up, but I'm sure if he's top 15, he's a good pick. Milwaukee Journal has the Falcons selecting James Pierce Jr. So, guys, if you get a Mykel Williams, a James Pierce Jr., and somehow get a Myles Garrett, oh my, Falcon fans, you have a defense in one offseason.
Well, thinking about trades, I'm thinking about this is what, I saw somebody comment about, trading Kirk. Well, if we need, so what about this? A way to get Garrett and a Cooper Kupp. Think about this. Cleveland needs the quarterback and not the tight end, but LA could definitely use who's down there? Well, I don't know who the Rams tight end would even be. So you're telling me, so what if you took Kirk, traded him to the Browns, for the first and whatever, and then traded Cousins to the Browns, and then turn around and took your Kyle Pitts and gave Kyle Pitts over to the Rams to get a Cooper Kupp, because I don't think it's going to take draft picks to get a Cooper Kupp. And if it is, it's going to be late. So trade him, a late, 25 pick. And maybe that's how you get both players in here, is you split the Kirk, instead of packaging Kirk and Pitts, is you split the two up and send, you send the quarterback that the Browns need to the Browns and your draft picks, and you send your tight end, to the Rams for the wide receiver. So possibility.
Sheesh, Cody is cooking here. Cody, I need you on the phone with Terry ASAP.
No, I'm going to make sure I get
ASAP.
a call here.
Robert, your thoughts before we move to our next topic, your thoughts on what Cody was speaking on, because I had to walk away for a second. I apologize, chat. Take it away, Robert.
That would be, oh gosh, that would be great, man. If we could get both those players in here, we'd be free of Kirk. We'd be free of KP. The only bad thing about that would be, like, the Browns have already said, they want a first round pick. Mm-hmm. So that would make, who we would be wanting in the first round, null and void. But if by some chance, if we did get a James Pierce with that pick, or the kid from
Marshall. Just imagine this though, Robert. I don't mean to cut you short, but this is a screenshot that I wanted to show, and this could be just a smoke screen. This could be a smoke screen, but imagine if you land that Myles Garrett, and then you land this guy in the draft. It says, as the Falcons head into the combine and pro day workouts, I'm told the guy they like initially at 15, Malachi Starks, they think he's the best safety prospect in the last 10 drafts based on film. Have at it. I'm muting this off the rip so I don't have to read all the negative bullshit that comes along with these posts. Shout out to J Ben over on Twitter. Malachi Starks, guys, he was my top runner. We talked about it before, and I'll go back and find the podcast, but I said if the Falcons can grab Malachi Starks, the best safety / cornerback in the draft, he is the sleeper best safety in this draft. I'm telling you guys, Malachi Starks is the real deal out of Georgia. If the Falcons land Myles Garrett, a pass rusher, and Malachi Starks, a safety, a nickelback, a slot, whatever you want him to be, guys, D. Alford is officially out the door. Malachi Starks is now in that nickel spot, wherever you may play him on the defense. I am rooting for Malachi Starks. If we select Malachi Starks at 15, regardless of Myles Garrett, I'm a happy Falcon fan. And I'll stand on that.
Yeah, me too, because, even if you don't play him at corner, Justin Simmons was a letdown for the most part.
Absolutely.
And, of course, Phillips not going to like this, but, Richie Grant's been a letdown. Can you imagine Starks paired with Jesse Bates?
Yeah, absolutely. Crap. Absolutely. A young thug that's going to be – I shouldn't say thug. Chat, ignore what I just said. But I'm saying thug as he's a thug on the field. He's a dog. Right. Yeah, he's just an absolute monster in between the hedges, now in between, hopefully, the Mercedes-Benz sidelines. Malachi Starks in the Atlanta Falcons defense would be phenomenal, I think.
And that's still a possibility.
But also, Cody, if you land this guy,
mm-hmm.
or if you land, I don't know, this guy at 15, either 3 picks, Falcon fans, your defense is just upgraded tremendously.
Right.
Or even these guys. I'm sorry, Cody. I'm
you're
so
good.
sorry.
Good.
But you have this guy, Phillips, crazy about the cat. The guy out of Michigan, the cornerback, Phillip loves him. You also have this guy that's landed on draft boards for the Atlanta Falcons, the run stuffer, the guy that can get in the backfield, cause tremendous damage, but does not quite have that sack damage yet. Cody, a guy that Mr. Robert talked about, if you go best player available, if Travis Hunter is there at 15, that's your possibility. Who knows what the draft strategy is? Cody, this guy, Mike Green. We're forgetting about Marshall stud Mike Green, and also the cat from Notre Dame, the linebacker. Cody, there's players in this draft, and people say there's not a lot of defense in this draft. They are crazy. There is talent all across this board. Another guy I forgot, Phillips, man, from Ohio State. Another quarterback sack artist right here from Ohio State, Jack. This kid here, any pick that we just showed on the screen, if you take draft night, you cannot be upset. I don't think you can be upset.
No, not at all. I would say so, and this is the thing that's kind of going through my head right now. So let's take this scenario for a second. So let's say we go ahead and we lose our first draft pick because we traded it away and Kirk Cousins, for Myles Garrett, right? and we send Kyle Pitts off to LA and pick up a Cooper Kupp. So we're all aware that Arthur Blank right now is in win mode right now, right? We're not a lot of pieces off from being deep playoff Super Bowl contention. In my opinion, we've got our quarterback, we've got our running backs. If you can bring Drew Dahlman back, you've got your offensive line. You just signed Myles Garrett, who's now bolstered your defense. So think about this for a second. So we've lost our first round. We sent him away. We're in win mode right now. Are you guys upset if what we do is so what? I'm not one of those people who's like stock up on draft picks. So what do you do? Here's kind of my thought. Sorry, I'm kind of thinking about this as I go along. So here's the thing: is go ahead and get rid of those draft picks. You get your Myles Garrett. Move back up into the draft. Trade more draft picks to move back up and go get you a Starks. Go get you, whatever. Because, like I say, Arthur Blank's in win mode.
Who was it? Now. The Texans?
It was the Texans and the Eagles that were both just like your draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do it. Trade them away, because if you seriously think that we're in the position to win right now, or that's what Arthur Blank wants is to win right now, get rid of those draft picks and go get the players that you need. Go get you Cooper Kupp. Go get you Myles Garrett. And then find a way to trade back in and then go get your Walker. Go get your Mike Green. Go get your Starks. Go get, be aggressive and go do that stuff, because I seriously feel like we're only a few players away. Your safety, a dominant edge rusher, and your center. Let's
talk about what you bring to the table if you grab a Myles Garrett. In the regular season, this man had 47 combined tackles, 7 assists, and he had 14, not 13, I shorted him, 14 regular season sacks. The year prior, this is career, okay. The year prior, he had 14 sacks. The year before that, he had 16 sacks. The year before that, 16 sacks. The year before that, 12, 10, 13. The only season he had single-digit sacks was his rookie season. Falcon fans, this cat is worth a first-round pick. Yes. I do not care. You get Myles Garrett in Atlanta. Imagine what he brings to the table with not only Grady Jarrett, a Zach Harrison, a Ruko Hirohu, what's his name in the middle? David Onamata, Caden Ellis. Not only does it help the line, but it helps the linebackers as well. Guess what? It also helps
your secondary
cornerbacks when they're in these coverages and we can't get a sack. We can't get pressure on the quarterback. Well, guess who can? A guy that gets 14 consecutive sacks a season. Myles Garrett to Atlanta is how you make the playoff push. Terry, get on the phone. Make the trade. And as my guy Cody says, fuck those draft picks. Get Myles Garrett in Atlanta. And that is what we're going to end the podcast on right there. In the podcast, in stream. That's it. We're out of here. Drop mic. Myles Garrett to Atlanta is how you win the NFC South. It's how you get back in playoff contention. Yep. Myles Garrett is winning football. That's all I have to say about Myles Garrett. Cody, absolutely. Robert, any last thoughts?
No, man. Like you said, I mean, find a way to get your, there are four key players. If you can find a way to bring in Cooper Kupp, a Myles Garrett, bring back Drew Dahlman, and then go get you a Starks, a Walker, a Green, any of those guys, do it. I don't care if you have to sell the farm to do it. With the exception, obviously I don't want to see Tyler. And see, this is the thing. Like, I love Tyler Algier. Like, I don't want Tyler Algier.
What if it brings Myles Garrett to the house?
I would say, but what? Well, let's stop and say. Let's say you go ahead and you get, your Myles Garrett and your Cooper Kupp. You re-sign Dolman, and you need to jump back in that first round. Who's not taking Tyler Algier and maybe a future, second round or third round to move back up to where you could go get one of those young defensive players? So now you've got 4 key players that you just picked up off of trading Kyle Pitts and giving up some draft, and giving up draft capital. Mm-hmm. You're telling, if you're giving up Tyler, Picks, Kirk, and Pitts, as much as I don't want to see Algier gone, but if you're telling me that means Kupp, Garrett, finding a way to get Drew Dahlman back in here, and one of these young defensive studs, do it. Sometimes you have to make uncomfortable, unpopular moves, because you know what? I rather trade Tyler Algier and give up all those draft picks, and then at the end of 2025, 26, 27, whatever year, and go, my Atlanta Falcons were Super Bowl champion.
Sheesh. Robert, any last words on Myles Garrett, brother, before we get ready to give our shout outs and close out episode 132 here for DFU?
Just the thought of Myles, that sack total. I mean, when was the last time we've had a double-digit
John
sack?
Abraham, Vic Beasley.
Beasley in the Super Bowl year. That's been 8 years ago.
Yep.
That is what has really been holding us back. I mean, just, and of course, there was a lot of things from the previous GM, Dimitroff, he was, he made a lot of bad signings. He made a lot of bad draft picks. But if we do get a Myles Garrett in here, if we could get a Cooper Kupp in here, and like Cody said, if we can find a way to trade back into the first round and get one of these young pass rushers, and the possibilities would be endless. And and of course, a lot of teams may not, they may not draft best player available. They may draft, their immediate needs. Some of these players may fall into the second round. Anything's possible. Yeah, exactly. And another player that, I want to mention, we didn't get to see him this year because of a preseason injury, but Braylon Trice was the draft pick I was most excited about this year.
Yep.
He's going to be coming back. Hopefully he's going to be healthy 100%. What can he bring to the defense? If we still got Grady, if we still got Onyemata, we bring in Myles Garrett, Caden Ellis, leading the middle of the pack. Oh, this defense could be phenomenal.
Absolutely.
And,
absolutely.
Perry's got to make it happen.
No knock to my guy, John Abraham, but Myles Garrett is at 47 career total sacks, and our guy, John Abraham, was at 56. And we all know the career John Abraham had throughout his tenure. So Myles Garrett to Atlanta, man, I'm telling you, Falcon fans, if you want to get back in the playoffs, no matter what it takes, you get Myles Garrett on this defense, and you'll watch this team soar. Falcon fans, hit that like button. It is time for shout-outs here for DFU. Cody, Robert, I appreciate you guys for coming through tonight, doing the live podcast here for DFU. Shout-out to our other two co-hosts, Philip and Rick, that was not able to make it tonight. Cody, starting off with you, brother, shout-outs for tonight here.
Yeah, as always, start out with you guys coming on, talking Dirty Bird football. Man, it's always the best part of the week, come in and talk Dirty Bird football with you guys. Shout out to Philip and Rick. Hope you guys are start feeling better, man. I know it sucks to be sick. And we all know it's worse for dudes when we're sick. It just hits us harder. But, it just.
Ask any woman, they'll tell you that.
Right. But, shout out to my wife out there watching. I love you. I'll be out there in a second. But, shout out to everybody that was, watching. We're pushing out Falcon content, guys. We're going to continue to do it 100 times. Again, if we got to talk about Bijan's golf game, or we got to talk about, Tyler Algier's, lunch schedule, we're gonna find a way to bring you Falcons football, content. And it may not be, the most meaningful stuff, but we will absolutely bring it to you because we love our Dirty Birds, and we know you all do too. Keep liking and subscribing. Find ways to get people here to YouTube. I want to give away, I want 50 people in this raffle for these headphones, for these AirPod Pros. Happy to do it. And the more that you guys do it, the more we want to do this stuff for y'all. So, support us, and we'll support you in the best way that we can as a podcast. But, fellas, other than that, shout out to the Falcons. I wish we were watching our team this Sunday going for a ring and a trophy, but we've got it coming. It's coming our way very soon, boys. We just got to hang in there and make the right moves. Terry, watch the podcast, man. We're giving you great advice, dude. We're bringing it to you. But other than that, fellas, rise up.
Rise up. Mr. Robert, shout-outs for tonight. Brother Cody, as always, a pleasure to have you here for episode 132.
Absolutely.
Well, shout out to you guys. Thanks for letting me be a part of this. It means more than you'll ever know. Always love to talk Falcon football with diehard fans. Shout out to our viewers, our subscribers. Without you guys, this isn't possible. And when we started on TikTok, just the amount of followers we had on that, just over the first couple of days, just thank you all. We appreciate it. We're glad to bring you this content. We're glad to talk the Falcons with you guys. Of course, shout out to the Falcons. We love you guys. We're diehard fans. We want to see you guys succeed. We want to see you bring that trophy, parade that down Peachtree Street.
Yes,
I've been waiting for this most of my life, and I'm an old fart. But I think the time's getting close, and I think it's going to happen pretty soon. And of course, shout out to Philip and Rick. I'm praying for you guys. Get well soon. We missed you here tonight. We'll see you next time. Get better soon. And as always, my family, Brianna, Peyton, Zach, Christy, I love you all. Rise up.
Rise up, as my guy, Mr. Robert says. Once again, Robert, glad to have you here on the live podcast. Glad to have all my co-hosts that are here on the channel, man. Could not do this thing without you guys. Shout out to all the live viewers, all the live comments, all the people tapping your screen, all the new viewers on TikTok. 1K. Can you say it? 1K on TikTok. Shout out to everybody over on TikTok,
Thank
man.
you.
Much love to all you guys. From 256 followers to 1,025 followers in 2 days is a tremendous goal. If we can only make that same impact on YouTube, Falcon fans, we are cooking, man. Falcon fans, hit that like button, comment, subscribe. Wherever you get this content, man, support. Once again, as Cody said, we will support you as much as we can as a podcast if you support us. Subscribe over on YouTube for your chance to win a pair of Apple AirPod Pros for totally free, Falcon fans. This costs $0 to subscribe on the channel. So if you're a new viewer, if you're watching this after the live, hit the subscribe button. Be sure to comment on a live video, and we will get you entered for the chance to win a pair of Apple AirPod Pros. Falcon fans, shout out to you guys for tuning in. Shout out to the wife in the other room. Shout out to the baby boy that's tearing the door down right now as we speak. Shout out to God himself, man. Shout out to Philip, Rick, and all the viewers of DFU, man. It's your boys from DFU. We out of here. A-Town down. Rise up and enjoy the new outro. We out. Peace.
Rise up.